Hello, pieces of my African soul family. How are you doing today? How are you today? I hope you're doing fine. It's your host, Jephthah Okech Malela, and I am so happy to be back on another episode. And on this episode, as I promised, I'm going to tell the second part of my Ugandan story. And this was the second time I visited Uganda, which was last year, 2020, just before April. So I promise that this time I will cut it short or into a half. Some of you had a hard time listening all through the 1 hour, but those who listened, you guys are amazing. I really appreciate your resilience, your support. You're just beyond amazing. So yes, after my first time in Uganda, I was totally smitten. I was in love. I was like a lover who was wondering when he'd see his love next. And I was wondering, when will I go back to Uganda? And before I continue, I want to debunk some things. When we hear Uganda, the first thing you're tempted to say is Banange, and you're tempted to say Matoke. Please, people, refrain. Uganda is very diverse. The Baganda people are actually from the central part of Uganda. And the north where I visited, you'll find the Lugbara. You'll find most of the Nilotic people from South Sudan, and you'll find the Luo, who are also Nilotic, the Padola, and then Langi. And Uganda is generally diverse. So please, the next time, before you say Banange next time, just know the region these people come from, So don't embarrass yourself when you go to the north and you want to insist on saying Banange. Anyway, so this time I did not use the plane. This time I went down with the bus. So I actually, my mom advised me that I should go through Kisumu, because I was in Homa Bay then. So Homa Bay to Kisumu to the border to Kampala. Well, who am I? The stubborn kid. I wanted to come to Nairobi first. So what do? I come from Homa Bay, I travel all the way to Nairobi, I stop over for a day or two, and then I book a bus. I booked Modern Coast, because you know how they hype this whole VIP thing and all. But to my surprise, the bus I took, Modern Coast, I hope you change your ways if you are any of the workers of Modern Coast are listening. So I find out first there were no charging ports in that bus. That was the first disappointment. So I had my laptop fully charged. I always fully charge everything before I leave. I had my phone fully charged, and I had my tablet fully charged. So then secondly, the seat could not recline. So I'm in this designated seat, but it doesn't recline. And people, let me tell you, that journey was a bit too long. I wish I would have listened to my mom. So we left Nairobi at night, about 8 p.m. or so. So we left Nairobi and we traveled all the way to Busia, which is the border. Busia is in the western part of Kenya. Busia is a very it's a relatively big border town. It borders Uganda and Kenya. So once we arrived at Busia, we were expected to alight. So I'm alighting, and this guy comes up to me with a word of notes, So I'm like, oh, people are being given free notes when they come to Uganda. How benevolent of the mighty Yoweri Museveni. I was like, oh. And then I think I had been asleep. So like I was almost taking the cash and keeping it to myself. And then it hit me, oh, this is what's happening. So before you cross the border, there are people who offer to exchange the notes for you. But as it seems that they were in a hurry, I'm sure their exchange rate is not so good, which was confirmed by my friend. So I had this guy sitting near me who we struck a conversation with as we left Nairobi. So he is Ugandan, but he usually comes and works in Kenya weeks at a time. So actually how we got to speak to each other was because he needed to use my phone to communicate, and I was like, why does he need my phone to communicate? But apparently, because of the issues of roaming, the network roaming, either the charges are expensive or the network services are not good, so that's why he needed to use my phone. So yeah, good thing we're in a bus. He was not going to run anywhere, so of course I gave him my phone and he used it. So yeah, so it was like my guide, my sensei on my journey towards Uganda. So by the time we were at the border, it was almost 6 hours into the journey. Yes, when we alighted at the border. So at the border, you go through immigration, and because it is COVID, it was about the time when COVID was starting to get serious. It had, the borders had not been closed then. And then this time I had my passport. Yes, I will tell you about the story in the coming episodes about how I got my passport. Yeah, but this time I had my passport. I had my yellow fever certificate ready just in case. And yes, I did not need a written permit or anything. This time, I was going down there with confidence. So yeah, so you go through two border points. You go through the Kenyan immigration officers. They are stationed at the same time but different windows, at the same place, not time, at the same place but different windows. So I went through the Kenyan immigration and they signed me off towards my way to Uganda. And then I went to the Ugandan immigration. They ask you the regular questions. What are you going to do? How long are you going to stay? So it's just good to be upfront with the question and answer necessarily as you can. So I finish at the border. So I have just remembered that I haven't told you what my mission is and why I went to Uganda for the second time, apart from my love for Uganda. So as some of you know, I had taken time off school for a bit because I was contemplating, finding another course and another place in a new country, in a new environment, So that's when Uganda came to mind, and my beautiful, awesome, amazing friend Sandy was actually on the forefront of helping me, find a place to go to school. And Makerere came up in the conversation. So actually this mission I was going on was to go and see if I could find a chance to study at Makerere. And guys, I would like to inform you, if you are traveling, it's really good to have almost the whole itinerary before you go, like where you're going to stay, where you're going to go while there, how you're going to get around, will you need money, will you use your card and everything. It's good to have these things set and planned beforehand. So these are some of the things I've got to learn, and especially from veteran travelers like Sandy, who's traveled in very many places, maybe in more places in Africa than I have. So yes, so those are some of the things you learn. So I started with hotels, and Airbnb had not come to mind, so I was looking at hotels. So I looked for hotels and I found this hotel, and then on booking.com, and I almost actually booked it, but I don't know what instincts drove me to cancel the booking. I don't know, it just didn't look like a trustworthy place. Even though it promised that it was near Makerere, but then I let it go. So that's when I went to Airbnb. So apparently for the same price I was going to book the hotel with, I could book Airbnb. And Airbnb is, it's like the new hip, awesome way to travel, to stay while traveling. And actually I think I have more trust for Airbnb than hotels that I do not know, like they are not common brands. I don't know why I find it easier to trust Airbnb. I think also from my experiences. So yeah, so I found this Airbnb, booked it beforehand, contacted the host, and I let the host know I was alighting in the morning and then coming in early, because I was going to arrive earlier than the booking time, because there were booking times listed on the Airbnb app. Some are 11 a.m., some are 12. So some hosts don't prefer that you arrive and book or check in earlier than the time that is that is stipulated there. But as usual, they are human beings too. They are not robots, so there are people you can broker with deals. If you're going to arrive early, it is just good to tell your host that, hey, I'm traveling and I'm going to arrive early, so if you allow me, I'll check in early. Yes, so I booked the Airbnb, and then I put half of my money on my Equity Visa card. So guys, if you think your Visa card does not work, it works perfectly well. You should just know the daily limits. Like, I think my daily limits for my Visa card might be 7,000 shillings, which you can increase. You can increase to as much as you can. Those are things we are not told when we first get our Visa cards, but you can actually put the limit on your Visa card. So I had my Equity Visa card so I put some of the money in there, and then I attached it to my Uber and I attached it to my Airbnb so that I could get payments going on easily. So I booked that, and then I filled my what do you call it? I attached it to my Uber also, so because I knew that at some point I was going to use it for Uber, because there's Uber border. Even Uber border is there in Kampala. So yes. And then after I booked, and then I organized how I was going to travel, because I wanted to be in Kampala, go to Makerere, finish all and everything, and then go to Arua and visit my people, of course, if time was going to be there. So that was technically my itinerary. And then of course packing clothes, having everything ready, and then so at the border I checked in and all, and then you go back into the bus after you are checked. So from the border, from Busia border into Kampala, Kampala is almost towards inside Uganda, a bit inside from the border. So it was another 6 hours of this journey. So guys, you can imagine, I slept, I woke up, I listened to music, I watched movies on my laptop till it was almost going off, but I never let it go off completely, because I might need to just boost my phone just in case. And then it was now dawn was breaking, so now I could see the countryside. Oh my people, the landscape of Uganda, still up to now, it is amazing. It is just beautiful. It's green and rolling hills, and flat lands. It's just this whole beauty and diverse landscape, that is just mind-blowing. Uganda is, my people, Uganda is beautiful. Anyway, yes, so we arrived in Kampala maybe at about 8 a.m. the next day, if I'm not wrong. So Modern Coast has its booking office in the general bus park of Kampala. And as I told you guys, Kampala is set on hills. Yeah, it's a very beautiful city. It's super beautiful, set on hills. So I arrive, and then I alight. So the first thing to do is to exchange my money. So I think I had cash of about 8,000 Kenyan shillings. So I go to I look around, and then I notice, because you don't want to do it far away from the bus where you alighted, just in case of anything. It's safer near the bus and the booking office. So of course I look for it, and I find this one exchange place. So the exchange rate, as I told you, is 1 shilling to 35 Ugandan shillings. 1 Kenyan shillings to 35 Ugandan shillings. So guys, so multiply 8,000 by 35, and then you'll know how much how much Ugandan shillings I had. But they have like 10,000 shilling notes, 1,000 shilling notes, 5,000 shilling notes. So I think he gave me most of it were 10,000 shilling notes. So it wasn't, haikuwa ngumu sana kubeba. So I exchanged the money, kept it safe. I like dividing my denomination, so I'll have a few in my breast pocket, few in my bag, few in my my side pockets. So it's just, I love spreading them like that, just in case of anything. So I was not going to use cash for this first instance. So I checked for Uber, because I knew now it was called, the guest house, or the Airbnb I was going to was called Ninyumba guest house. Or Ninyumbani. Yes, actually it was Ninyumbani. So I called for an Uber, and then the Uber comes for me I'm still at the bus station, because you don't want to walk inside a bus park that you do not know. If I was going to move, I was just going to move a little bit towards the center area, but just as far, just a little bit far away from the bus station. So yeah, so this Uber guy calls me, and we do not get each other. I do not know why we could not get each other. So I decided to text him. So the first trouble you have is that your your network will be roaming. So there's been a bit of network change, because I'm from Safaricom and now I automatically get into MTN Uganda. So communication, of course, is a big issue. So what I did actually was I called him. I actually called him through the app. So my bundles got over almost immediately, but we eventually found each other. And I told him I am going to Ninyumba guest house. It is towards Acacia Mall, Izo sides. You look confident, but you don't know. They say, "Oh, my friend, you're from Kenya," and then we get on going and stirring, and you know what. But I'd love to say this place I was going to, it was more than what I was expecting, because I was expecting just an average place in an average, because I was paying like 2,000 a night, 2,000 shillings a night for the stay. Yeah, it was $20. Yeah. So we go up. So the road winds and ends up in this hilly, really good looking neighborhood. It was a really good neighborhood, actually. Now coming to think of it, it's a really nice, quiet neighborhood. Just super chilled. And then you can view the city from part of the city from that place. So here's what happened. I arrived, and then this really nice guy is short, plump, dark skinned, and then lively, ever smiling. And then he's like, "Oh, welcome to Ninyumbani guest house," and to Ninyumba guest house. And like, it was supposed to be Ninyumbani, but he says Ninyumba, and I'm like, oh, maybe there's a little bit of spelling problem or something like that. So I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And then he goes on, and then we catch up, and then he takes me to the room and gets me in, and then he ensures I'm settled in well. He shows me the area we share, because it was like several individual rooms, but we share the kitchen area, because you know how like Airbnb is, you can cook your own meals. So he shows me, gets me acquainted with the place, and tells me, we love hosting people, and he was so happy that I'm from Kenya, and he says he's been to Nairobi, and I'm like, oh brother, you've been to Nairobi, man, I hope you loved it. And like, oh, people move too fast. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's how we do it in Nairobi. Anyway, he was a nice brother, really nice brother. So when he now wants to let me go so that I can shower, change, settle down. And then it's like, oh, what's your name, your reservation? I'm like, oh, I'm Jephthah Okech. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, oh, I don't see your record here, but I think it has not reflected. And then I show him my reservation, like, okay, all right. I don't know why he did not notice that I was not supposed to come to Ninyumba, and I was supposed to go to Ninyumbani. So he also is chill, because someone cannot come out of nowhere and be chilled about it and be so confident. I was also confident. No, I'm like in the right place. So I get in, I shower, I change, I settle down, I unpack a few things, just to make them be free from the suitcase and all. And then I go out to catch some air, because that place was beautiful. I take some pictures. They have this nice graffiti on the wall. It is overlooking the city, so I'm admiring the scenery, and feels good, maze. First time traveling alone, and things are going well. I'm like, yay, ooh. So so this brother comes back, and then he's like, oh, your reservation has not reflected. Can I check from your app? And then I say, oh, why not? So I give him my phone. I open the Airbnb app, and I give him my phone. And then I'm like, because it was a lady, the host was a lady I had spoken with, and like, oh, maybe this guy is the caretaker. And then he checks and says, oh my God, you are at the wrong place. So it happens that ni nyumbani and ni nyumba are two different places, and as opposed to ni nyumba where I was, ni nyumbani where I was supposed to be was like more of it's somebody's house and then the rooms are rented, but this one is solely dedicated to Airbnb. And then he's like, this lady is my friend, Miriam is my friend. This is so funny, brother. You settled in and everything, but this is so funny. So he says, let me just call Miriam right now. And then he calls Miriam, and Miriam goes, I was already wondering why he's not arrived yet, and I can't find him on phone. So it's that he came to your place. And then the brother says, let me take you, it's just down the street. So apparently ni nyumbani and ni nyumba are actually just a few paces apart. I actually passed it when I was coming here. This is so funny and embarrassing, but also mostly funny. So I pack my luggage again, lift the suitcase and everything, and then he takes me down to where I was supposed to be, and the host welcomes me. So of course I tip him. So it's just out of courtesy, I didn't have much, but I just felt I just needed to tip him because he'd hosted me, he'd been hospitable to me, and so we said our goodbyes, laughed about it, and then he left. So my host Miriam welcomed me. A really nice home. It's a mansion. Is it mansionette or mansionette? Whatever it is. Yeah, but it has the ground floor and then the first floor. And then really nice compound, well kept. And then she takes me to my room, and I'm amazed. I'm like, whoa, so this is I'm paying for. You're not sure I should pay for more? Really neat room, huge bed, self-contained, nice bathroom, hot shower, everything. So I settled down there again. So I don't shower again because, of course, as you understand, Anyways. Yeah, so I settled down, and then it was dinner time. I remember when dinner came, these hosts were nice, so when we were talking with Miriam, and then she tells me she's a believer, and she takes hosting seriously. I'm like, oh, I'm starting to feel like home. From believer to believer, when you meet a fellow believer, it feels really, really nice. It feels good. So we get talking, and and then she tells me all about her job. She's in this Airbnb hosting thing with her friend. This is a house, and then it's a really huge house actually. So she does her business, but Airbnb is also another business she does. And then supper time comes, and then they welcome me to the dinner, and I'm like, wow, you guys are good, thank you so much. So I don't remember if it was the first day that it was I remember it was that day that I went out actually that day. Yes, I went out almost immediately, because the reason I went out, so I have my whole Ugandan family. So my friend Jamila, who is Mrs. Dennis now, congratulations guys on your wedding. These two friends of mine got wedded just last month, Dennis and Jamila. Congratulations on your wedding. So Jamila, she was not married then, of course. She was studying at Chambogo University, which is it's in Kampala. So I was going to meet her to take some things that I was going to take to Dennis from Kampala. Okay, that's my first day, people. I know it's crazy. I'm already running errands. But also another reason why I was meeting up with her, because she was going to help me book a bus for my later travel to Arua. So I think that was also another reason I was meeting with her. So I remember I went to town, and then we met where we were supposed to meet, and then she walked me almost, we were supposed to meet near the parliament. Then there was a bus park there, so the Uber guy dropped me there, and then after looking for each other for like forever, we found each other. So if you have been to Kampala, if you have never been to Kampala, you should know there are a lot of motorbikes there. So the motorbikes move almost everywhere, and there are so many. So it takes a little getting used to, because as opposed to Nairobi, The motorbikes are not allowed into some parts of the city, but I saw that in Kampala they are allowed in most parts of the city, so it can be overwhelming for a bit, but it takes getting used to. So I can't describe where we walked, but I remember we walked a lot around the city, because Jamila came with her cousin and they now decided to show me around. We went into the market, the open air market, which is within the city, where all vendors sell like clothes, jewelry, wholesale sorry about that, wholesale stuff, and retail stuff. It was really nice to know this place, because I know most traders in Kenya come all the way to Uganda because things are affordable, things are good quality, and people really do that a lot. People who sell shoes, people who sell clothes, they cross over to the border, and they cross over the border and then come to Uganda to purchase these things. So Jamila and the cousin actually took their time and showed me around. We saw the market, we saw the huge bus station. They have a huge as opposed to the bus station where I alighted. This is actually for the 14 passenger seater, the 14 seater passenger motor vehicles. They call them the taxis. So they have a huge bus park near the open air market. And then we came to the bus I was going to use. I think it was called the Nile Express, if I'm not wrong. So they helped me book, and then after I had booked, we went back and walked for a bit before they left me. So they left me and I took a boda this time. So I used a boda. I actually did not even use the app. I just told the guy where I was going, and then he told me how much it was. And now, because I know how to convert quickly in my head, I did that. So that was technically my day one in the beautiful city of Kampala. So I went back to Ninyumba, and then just settled down, relaxed, because I was waking up early the next day to go to Makerere, to find out things, to see how things will go and all. So I went back, settled down, and then these hosts were gracious enough to just offer me a meal. And I remember it was pasta with eggs. Man, you people, that was super delicious. So no, it's not always matoke. Sometimes there's pasta and eggs, and you can actually enjoy it. So I had pasta and eggs after such a busy day. So my first day in Kampala was really nice. I think there's this air about Kampala that's just, it's nice. First of all, Kampala is just beautiful. The people are beautiful. It doesn't move as fast as Nairobi, but it has its own pulse. It has its own rhythm, the way it moves, which is quite, admirable and sweet. So my first day in Kampala was nice. People, I have to tell you, I slept super quick that day. I slept super quick, because now I was feeling like, my next day is planned. I know I will go to Makerere. I will walk about, know how my schooling stuff will go. And then I know now I have a bus booked for for Arua, and everything is well. So my first day in Kampala was nice, and there was no trouble moving around, because I remember now I paid for Uber. If I needed to use Uber, I just put the card, and I didn't have to have the physical card. As long as the card was authentic and still working, I put the details on the app, and I paid for it and you can actually tip the driver automatically too. So it was a nice way of not having the trouble to exchange the currency or convert in your head all the time and remain with these many coins that you will not use after a while. So fam, welcome to the part 1 of my second time in Uganda. So guys, tune in for part 2 of me telling you about this journey and completing the journey with you guys. So until the next episode, guys, see you. Bye bye. See you till next time. Erokamano.